violin and piano?
Good to see you.
Grace got in Michigan.
No.
She went to Charles Spanish speaking.
Oh, no, I did.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't tell you that, Grace.
That's cool.
Too bad.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, sooner, I want to say March.
So we're expecting a few more.
Well, let's just say I have a list of people who said they'd be coming and bringing students, but I don't, they had to come further than I did, so I don't know. Well, anyway,
Okay. Go ahead.
Mine is just right.
Oh, I got your text when she was at the house.
Oh, wait, it is, okay. You're okay.
Mind your way.
Mind your way.
It's awful quiet in here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we're all just sitting here.
We need some music, don't we?
We might as well.
Okay, we can do is, I got some preliminaries just for a minute or two, so. I'm Lisa Miyazaki, I'm the president this year, and Susan Crandall is our assistant to the president. Set this all up, so I really appreciate her doing that. We appreciate you being here, and we appreciate Alan for being willing to share his knowledge with us. We'll get started right away, but I just wanted to put a little plug in for our next activity. On the 25th of this month, we're having Jason Lyle Black come. If you don't know who he is, get on YouTube and put his name in there. He's, we're bringing him in to inspire students. He's a pianist, of course, but I'm Lisa. We're just trying to have a fun time where kids would be enjoying and loving music and having a good time with it. So we invite all of you to come. The morning on the 9 o'clock, see, I don't know what the time is. The time's all off. Anyway, that morning we will have a workshop at 10. That's what I was thinking. But we've switched things a little bit there.
At the library, right?
As far as I know. We will be sending emails out that your teachers will know. And he will be doing that workshop in the morning, and then in the evening he'll do a concert. The morning one is free. The evening is a paid one because we're raising money for a scholarship called Music Matters, which will hopefully make it a chance to do lessons for the kids that may not be able to afford it. So we'd appreciate all of your support, bring your family, friends. This tells the regular prices, but for anybody involved with UVMTA, you can get a reduced price, basically half price tickets. And so make sure you talk to your teacher before you buy your tickets and get those from them. And if they're not familiar, have them call or pass us all an email for you. So, yeah, we'd love to see you there. We'll turn the time over to Susan. I think she's going to introduce Dawn for us. So.
You've got several things.
Yes, I do have flyers. This doesn't have the reduced prices on it, but it tells about the times and places and stuff. So.
For those of you who don't know, this is Don Hanson. He teaches here at the university, and he supplied this little brief bio, I guess you'd say. I studied music education at Ricks College and then BYU. Taught public school orchestra in Kaysville, Utah. Earned a master's degree in instrumental conducting, also from BYU. I also studied at Arizona State University, earning a Doctor of Musical Arts degree in violin performance. I've been a faculty member at BYUI for more than 10 years. I teach violin, conducting, chamber music, and string pedagogy. So we're very happy that he consented to come and try to bring us up to speed a little bit.
Thanks. Thank you. Appreciate it. Well, welcome. I'm always a little bit unsure about what to expect, and so I've got several things that I have planned to talk about, basically reviewing some of the basics of teaching really solid violin technique. But because we're a relatively small group, if there's anything that you want to talk about, or if you have questions about anything, or if you want to just have a discussion together, be thinking about that as we go along, and I'll leave some time for us to do any sort of flexible thinking too. I'm glad Lisa's here; she can be a good resource for anything that we need to. Are the young people in the room, are you all violinists or violinists? You all play violin? Okay. Maybe I'll have you come up and demonstrate some things.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
We'll see how we do. Let's see. Okay. All right, well, teaching violin is always an adventure because there's so many variables, there's so many things to think about when we play, when we try to create something beautiful. And I compare it a little bit with playing the piano because my mother was a piano teacher and I played piano my whole life. And there are so many things on the piano that I have no idea what to do or how to do things because it is very, very complicated. But one thing that isn't complicated about the piano is getting a sound to happen and getting it to be in tune, as long as the piano tuner has done his job. On the violin, we have to think about those two things constantly, all the time. How do we get the sound to happen and make it beautiful, and how do we play the tune? And so that's what I'm going to focus on really what our quest is, our mission, when we try to teach and play the violin well. And it comes first to position. So the very top of the handout, my biggest piece of advice to us as teachers is to teach position, tone, and intonation in every lesson. Now that doesn't have to take a lot of time in every lesson, but it needs to be something that is reinforced and reminded and bolstered and strengthened all the time. Position is important because that is how we both support our instrument, actually hold it up, and also approach it in a way where the tone and the intonation can happen. You can picture if with a piano, we had to hold it up off the ground and play it at the same time, how awkward that would be, right? Well, we have to do the same thing. Fortunately, our instrument isn't that heavy, but we can approach it in a way that's very, very awkward. It makes us work very hard, or a way that is efficient and balanced. So let's just review some of the principles of position as we're trying to reinforce these things consistently as we go along. With the left hand, and I've split it up into left hand and right hand, our overall goal with anything with position is balanced and efficient. I want to just kind of define what that means for a second. When it comes to being balanced, it's finding a middle ground, a place where things feel neutral and easy, and where we can not be on one extreme or on one side or the other. Efficient, any guess on what I mean by efficient? Efficient motion?
Not wasted.
Not wasted, right? Not having to work harder than you have to get something to happen, right? And we talk a lot in string playing about tension and trying to eliminate tension. Tension in any playing, when it gets in the way of motion, is negative. But tension, when you just think about the principle of tension itself, in physics, tension is just resistance against something. And we have to have a certain amount of tension just to stand up. You know what I mean? If we had no tension, then we'd just kind of collapse on the floor. So we have to figure out what is the difference between tension to just be able to support ourselves and negative tension or wasted energy, like Gloria mentioned. And that's where efficiency comes in. It's finding where is that balance, where we just use the energy we need to, but nothing more. And we'll talk about some specifics as we go along. So, supporting the instrument. We're going to talk about this for a second. Where do we put it? How do we support it? What are the principles involved? We know this, but it's good to review. Do we hold the instrument with our shoulder? This is a good question. No, we do not actually. And this is a common problem, especially in the beginning stages, where we get so obsessed with what's happening here that we forget that the shoulder is actually a dynamic part of our structure. It's not a static place. In my string pedagogy class at BYU Idaho, I take my students, every semester I teach it, up to the biology building up the hill in the Benson building, and we look at the cadaver lab. It's a little bit spooky for some students. Did you ever go up there with
I haven't been up there.
All right, someday, right?
Right.
But the thing that's really fascinating to me is skeletal structure of our bodies and how our bodies are actually put together. It's really fascinating. And when you look at just the way that our arm is put together and the structure of the arm, And the end of our arm is here, our finger, right? Where's the other end of our arm? Where would you say our arm stops? Does it sort of connect with our body?
The shoulder
Actually, it goes past that.
to the backbone.
Yeah, it goes actually straight here to your sternum, to your front of your chest. Can you kind of pound that part of your chest right there? Feel it? There's a bone right there that where all our ribs come together, right? You can picture this in the skeleton. But it's also where this little bone right here, which is called what? Clavicle, yeah. Connects to the top of the sternum. This is the only contact point, believe it or not, for our arm. There's nothing else that holds our arm in place. And
It doesn't go to the scapula in the
does
back?
not, no. This whole part, I mean, the
Then why
the
do I
shoulder
hurt
blade-
back there?
Yeah.
It's a muscle problem. But yeah, the shoulder blade back here, all of this, which is connected to the ball and socket and all this, is completely floating on our back. There's nothing holding it to the back side of our body. Isn't that interesting? Which means this whole thing is one dynamic piece from the tip of our finger to right there. Everybody touch that for a second, right? You know, all the way. Yeah, okay. Which means, in one sense, there's really no such thing as a shoulder. It just looks like we have a shoulder because we put our hands down all the time. But really, this is just one joint in our arm. It's really all one big piece. Does that make sense? So what is the stable contact point for holding this up? It is right here. It's the bone that you can feel coming out of that sternum. That is the shelf, so to speak, where we can put our instrument. And we hold it there, plus another balance point with our hands itself. We're actually helping to hold up the instrument. And many violinists and some teachers will teach holding up the instrument with no shoulder pad at all. And in some ways, that's a very pure approach to getting the position very balanced, okay? Now, if I'm trying to hold it that way, I might get a guinea pig up here just a second. Is it gonna work for me to hold the instrument way down here? I see some smiles. Why not, Elizabeth?
Because you're having to pinch to get it to stay.
That's right, I'm having to use negative tension, too much physical exertion just to hold it up. So if we want to be balanced, we want to get it high enough so that the weight of the instrument can be up on top. So gravity can go straight down into that shelf right there and be able to do it without having to hang on to it or keep it from sliding this way or back, mostly up on top. This is especially critical for violists, because violas are heavy and they're thick and they're wide, and you have to find as much way of working with gravity as you can. Okay, I'm going to ask for a volunteer. Anybody want to come up and try to hold an instrument? Everybody's looking at the floor.
Oh, I see 3 choices right there.
Would you come up? Was it Maddie? No.
Addie.
Addie, close. Would you come up for a second, Addie? You play the violin, right? Okay. So come up here just next to me. This won't be difficult at all. And can you feel that spot on your collarbone where we're kind of talking about? Feel it's a nice hard spot. We're going to just practice holding it. Right, good. Excellent. And the first thing we want to check is to make sure that our shoulder, quote unquote, isn't lifting up and touching the instrument. Can you push your shoulder down a little bit? Right, great. Now Addie doesn't have a really long neck, so there's not a lot of space there. But would you turn it around the other way so they can see your back? But one of the principles is to try to keep a sense of space between the instrument and that shoulder, or at least a feeling of openness. If it touches a little bit, that's okay. But what we don't want is clamping or crimping or pulling it up, shrugging upward that way. Great. And then she's going to use also her thumb and the side of her first finger to also help support the instrument. Okay? Great. How's it feel?
Good.
Okay, good. Come back over here. Actually, I'll have somebody else do something else. Great. Porter, you play violin? Awesome. You didn't know how fun this was going to be today, did you? Thanks for doing it. Okay, so the next thing as we're thinking about the approach to it is what to do with our head and our shoulder, or our chin. We call this a chin rests. And that's kind of a problem actually, because if this is in a balanced position with gravity, not down here, if I put my chin in the chin rest, what's wrong with this picture? Yeah, absolutely. I know this is just kind of twisting and everything's stuck and it's not very balanced. So rather than thinking chin rest, think jaw, it's just the side of the jaw. And my favorite approach is just to make sure shoulders are neutral, and then after the instrument's up on the collarbone or the clavicle here, we just turn as if someone's tapping on our shoulder and saying, hey, and you say, oh, and then just let the weight of the head just drop enough to feel the side of your jaw, okay? So I'm gonna have you try that now, Porter. Come over here just a second. Okay, now get your shoulders sort of relaxed. Great. Can you shrug your shoulders up really high? Yep, now shrug them all the way down. Great. And let's see if we can get like equal weight on your feet. What grade are you in, by the way? Freshman. You're a freshman? I have a daughter in 8th grade. And there seems to be I don't know, Lisa's her teacher, so she can confirm or deny this, I don't know. But a little bit of an 8th, 9th grade sort of posture where, you're kind of leaning on one side. I've got another student who this is kind of their typical position. It's hard though, because if our hips are out of alignment, or we're really not picking on you, because this is just how people are, then it kind of messes up our shoulder as well. So think hips nice and relaxed, centered here, shoulders even. Nice job. There we go. You relax your shoulders. You feel that? That's great. Okay, so after I put the violin, I'm going to have you just turn a little bit from straight, a little bit to the left, as if I'm saying, hey, Porter. Okay, and then we're going to let your head drop into it. Okay, so put your head straight first. Like, yes, you're great. I'm going to put it right there. Don't do anything. Okay, now just turn a little. Let your head drop. Good. Nice job. And then you can go ahead and hold the rest of it here. That's the idea. Okay, let's try it one last time. Be really careful of one thing, and I can tell you're a violinist because we have a habit sometimes of not only turning, but like lurching forward this way. Okay, so don't try to like grab for it. Just turn and drop. Okay, try one more time. Yeah, just kind of do straight first, like as if nothing's happening. No, nothing's happening. I'm not here. The violin's not here. Okay, now turn a little bit. Now just drop. Right, that was better. You didn't reach forward at all. Does it feel a little different than before? Maybe? Not sure? Okay. Good. And then think nice and open with the shoulder. There you go. Great. Thank you. Nice job. Any questions so far about the principles? Yes?
Can a student overcorrect and set their instrument too high? Like, does that happen very often?
I've seen it, but not very often.
Oh.
No. Like this, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Occasionally that does happen. I did have one student who, in trying to work on this, she would sometimes start migrating until her chin was actually on the other side. But something related is to figure out with our equipment if there's something that can help to make that easier to feel and to fit better. They make chin rests of all shapes and sizes, of course. This one you can see is not a strict side chin rest. It hangs over the tailpiece a little bit. And for me, that seems to be about the right placement. For viola, it seems like you can go a little bit more usually. Get it right in the center where you have a chin rest bridges right there, which makes sense. If this is higher, then our chin is going to be touching further this direction, right? Lisa?
The thing you want to be careful of, though, is if once you move the chin rest more and more to the center, it tends to lift it up more, and so you just want to be careful of the neck angle, because sometimes you'll get center chin rests with people with short necks, and they end up having tension there. So sometimes you can find a chin rest that's low enough that you can move to the center without actually lifting it up.
Right. And is there anything wrong with having a side chin rest but not putting your chin on the chin rest? You know, kind of putting it on top of the tailpiece. That's fine too, as long as it feels comfortable. That's a great point. One of the things, as you move it, let's say we're used to having it down here, which is the more common problem, right? Low. As we move it up, we're automatically going to be shrinking the amount of space that we need to fill. So for example, if a student is really low and has a humongous shoulder pad, if you move it up here, all of a sudden the need for a big shoulder pad is completely